Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick have been named contributor and coach finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. That's right. There is a very real chance that Kraft and Belichick could be together, getting their busts together at the same time, being enshrined together at the same ceremony, together giving the same speeches. And again, Carolina, as I continue to say this morning, as an agent of chaos, I kind of love the awkwardness of having a divorced couple have to sit up there and accept this award together.
Yeah, did we mention this was together? Did we mention that Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick would be, I don't know, under the same roof? That's what I'm hearing here. Yikes, first of all. It's not underreported the feud, the history that these two have. And we know it's been well reported. Robert Kraft has even come out and said that, look, we welcome Bill Belichick back to New England. We would love to have Bill Belichick back in Foxborough. It feels like this feud is Bill Belichick just having big beef with the Patriots. Obviously, we know that he didn't want Patriot scouts in the facility at North Carolina, that he is letting whatever issues he has with Robert Kraft and the Patriots organization get in the way of his job right now. So Fitz, I don't see that there is any way that Bill Belichick, somebody that is so jaded and so grumpy and so just petty, I don't see any way Bill Belichick has any interest in burying the hatchet with Robert Kraft all of a sudden just to make nice in Canton.
Yeah, I mean, this is an awkward situation for Bill, but I don't think it is for Robert Kraft. And look, we've talked to people on this show about what the sense is in New England, and the sense seems to be that the Patriots don't really care. So this is one of those instances where you have a breakup and one person's still really not over it, and the other person is. One person has moved on
Yeah.
to coach at North Carolina and not having a ton of success. The other is sitting as the owner of a team right now that's the number one seed if the playoffs were to start today in the AFC, right? Like, so you've got somebody that's moved on that feels pretty darn good about everything versus somebody that is still feels like it's some level stuck in what was in the past. But aside from all of that, Caroline, like as much as we assign these two men to so much of the legacy of the New England Patriots, I don't think it's clear that Robert Kraft is a first ballot Hall of Famer to me. For me personally, for an owner to go into the Hall of Fame, I wanted him to have done something so transcendent for the league that it's bigger than just the team you owned. Because when you own a team, sure, you're hiring the right people. Congratulations. But where's the line on that? Are we going to put in every owner that ever hires a successful coach? I don't know. But if you're Jerry Jones, for example, who may or may not have had success on the field, but certainly changed the entire business trajectory of the NFL, you're a Hall of Famer. You've changed the entire way that the league makes money. You put a mark on the league as a contributor that certainly will be felt forever. But we've seen commissioners have to battle for their spots in the NFL. We've seen owners in the past have to battle for their spots in the NFL in the Hall of Fame. I have a hard time just putting Robert Kraft in because he owned a really good football team. Because to me, like that's the bare bones. That's what we expect of an owner. Like, great, you hired somebody awesome and you spent good money, and those people drafted a great quarterback. I don't know what about that makes you individually a Hall of Fame owner to me.
Well, I think he's a Hall of Fame owner. Maybe first ballot is a question, but he won 6 Super Bowls. I mean, owners of that caliber that have that much success, like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. The question is he a first ballot Hall of Fame, or will he get into the Hall of Fame this go around? There's never been an owner that's been up for the Hall of Fame that has been a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, I look at what, to your point, and look, we pick on Jerry Jones all the time, probably because he's really easy to pick on. Uh, but Jerry Jones has done a lot for the league. Like, Jerry Jones has kind of transformed the league from where it was in the late 70s, 80s to now where it is in 2025, which feels like an impenetrable force in sports and media and culture and lifestyle. Robert Kraft hasn't done that. Look, Robert Kraft has had a big impact on the league, but not like that. So I do think that Robert Kraft is a Hall of Famer. I do think he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. First ballot, I don't think so. And let's remember that voters only have 3 finalists. So if it's between Kraft and Belichick, it's Belichick. Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. He won 2 more with the Giants as a defensive coordinator. He has 8 rings. Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Again, as much as I make fun of him, because he deserves to be made fun of, because my goodness. We could have the Belichick or Brady debate all day long. Who was the more important piece of those Super Bowl teams? I think we all know and we can all probably all agree it was Brady, but Belichick still coached those teams. And Bill Belichick still deserves to be not just enshrined in Canton forever, but he deserves to be a full first ballot Hall of Famer, a term that I do think gets thrown around just a little bit too much in what we do fits, but he fits that bill. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's a term that, like, knowing a couple of Hall of Fame voters very well, it's a term that actually absolutely just drives Hall of Fame voters crazy because they say constantly, to your point, there are so many restrictions on how many people you can vote for. The concept of a first ballot Hall of Famer just presumes that somebody comes in and they're just so much better than everybody else that they must make it to the top of everyone's ballots. That's just, there's a lot of context that goes around that. I think for me, when you are one of the best of all time, and look, was it Brady or was it Belichick is such a funny debate to me because to me, the answer is always going to be it was a little bit of both. Like, we'll never know if Brady would have developed into Brady without Belichick. We'll never know if Belichick would have won without Brady. And frankly, I don't care. What I do care about is they won a lot of football games together. And certainly we answered the question of was it more Brady or could Brady win without Belichick was answered almost immediately. Can Belichick win without Brady? We still don't have a real answer to that. But that will tie me back to the Robert Kraft conversation because frankly, like, let's see what happens with Vrabel and Drake May. And certainly if you put your team in a situation where they have another dynastic run, then yeah, maybe you've done something so wildly unique as an owner. Putting back multiple dynastic runs is so hard to do. For me, like the credit of the Patriots goes to, if we're going to sit here and say, can Brady win without Belichick? Can Belichick win without Brady? Then I think there's a fair question of, can Robert Kraft win without Brady and Belichick? And so far this season, he is, but that doesn't constitute first ballot Hall of Famer to me. I also think that something Jory Epstein, our great NFL reporter, has pointed out several times is that this is something Kraft has been lobbying for. He is advancing in age. He wants this consideration while he's healthy enough to really take advantage of this consideration. So it is interesting to me that certainly, because Jory's been talking about this lobbying for a year, and now we have him in this situation as a finalist. I wonder what their speeches look like in general, though, Caroline, because like one cannot have a speech without thanking the other. And when they're on a stage a few feet from each other, let's be clear, like the real amazing solution here would be two grown men acting like two grown men, putting whatever their differences are beside them and embracing the moment of going in together. Like, that can either be wildly chaotic or that can be a really beautiful thing. And it's up to them and how they handle it to see how it'll be perceived.
Well, be an adult. Like, if you can't put your whatever issues you have aside for literally 5 minutes to have a moment to bask in the greatest honor that the National Football League can offer you, then I don't know what to tell. I think it says so much more about you and your integrity and your morality than anything else. Put it aside. And Bill Belichick did, I think it was on Instagram. So like, definitely Bill didn't post it himself, his team did, but still, Bill said it was an honor and wanted to celebrate it with wanted to celebrate it with all Patriots. And that was, to me, a wink wink nudge nudge, including Robert Kraft. Is he gonna name him by name? Of course not. But put your stuff aside for 5 seconds. Be a big girl, put your big girl panties on, put a smile on, and acknowledge that you two did it together. And to your point about Robert Kraft and about he's pushing for this while he's still alive and can enjoy it, I think posthumous inductions into Hall of Fames are so devastating. And sometimes there's nothing that you can do to really control that. But I do think while they're alive and while they can enjoy it, while they can bask in everything they enjoyed in their careers and achieved in their careers, just doing it posthumously just feels so just devastating to me. Still an honor, of course, to their families, but it is a devastating thing that I think that we have in sports. But Fitz, I'll ask you quickly, is Robert Kraft a Hall of Famer? Not necessarily first ballot, but is he a Hall of Famer?
I think you can tell the story
if Robert
of his
Kraft
entire
isn't, then which owner is?
Right now, very few. I think unless you've just changed for me, and I'm not a voter, but unless you've changed the entire trajectory of the league, simply owning a successful team, I mean, that congratulations, you hired the right people. That doesn't make you a Hall of Famer. If you do it over and over and over, if you're the Steelers and every coach you've ever hired has worked out, if you have that sort of run, then yes, you can earn a lot of credit for it. But Man, I think we need to see way more sustained success. And I also think you also do have to acknowledge that there were
Aren't the
controversies in his
Patriots
time as an
the
owner.
picture of sustained success?
Well, no, they're the picture of one dominant generation. I mean, let's see another run of greatness like Brady and Belichick before. I mean, when you think about the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, have had what, 4 head coaches in the last 50 years, right? Like, and every one of their coaches goes to a Super Bowl. Like, there is something sustained about that, about the structure that was put in place organizationally. Bill left and the Patriots sucked. And yeah, they're having a better year this year, but it's not all been sunshine and roses when there wasn't a Brady and a Belichick. So I guess to the point that we've had forever, to me, how much of the Patriots' success do we attribute to Kraft, Belichick, and Brady? And my answer is a whole bunch to Brady and a whole bunch to Bill and a whole bunch of thanks for being in the room to Kraft. I don't think that there was something transcendent there. I just think he got it right with two big things.
Isn't that the point of an owner?
I mean, yes, but do we reward every one of them that wins a bunch? I wouldn't. I don't think
they won 6 Super Bowls. 6 Super
Brady
Bowls.
Brady and Belichick. I mean, you put Brady and Belichick with any owner, I think they would have won 6 Super Bowls.